The royal observation deck of the starship Aurelia gleamed under soft lights, stretching wide over the swirling blue and green planet below. Princess Lyra stood at the edge, her hands resting lightly on the polished rail, her violet eyes fixed on the horizon. Stars shimmered above the planet's thin atmosphere, but her mind was far from the beauty outside. Today, she was annoyed, very annoyed. The council chamber had been buzzing all morning. Alien delegates from distant systems argued fiercely, their voices rising in an unfamiliar chorus. Lyra's ears had grown used to alien languages, but the tone was universal. Humans were weak, their biology limited. They could not survive like the alien species did. They could not reproduce all year. They were inferior. Lyra frowned. Inferior? She muttered. Is that what they truly believe? One of the council members, a tall silver-scaled diplomat named Vorin, spoke again, his voice like wind against metal. Princess, the data is clear. Human reproduction is strictly seasonal. Their physiology cannot adapt beyond these natural limits. There is no reason to test further. Lyra's fingers tightened on the railing. And yet, she said softly, we are supposed to accept assumptions without proof. The council turned their attention to her. Some were shocked, others curious. She had always been independent-minded, but this time her patience had worn thin. If humans are so fragile, she continued, her tone cutting, then bring me one. Let me see for myself. Let me understand. I will not allow assumptions to dictate what I believe. A hum of surprise ran through the room. None of the delegates had expected her to demand proof. One of them whispered, she seeks direct evidence. Dangerous. Lyra ignored them. She already had someone in mind. Commander Ethan Drake, the human envoy stationed on their neighboring planet, had impressed many with his calm reasoning, leadership, and intelligence. He had faced challenges alien diplomats could not even imagine. Now she wanted him, not just to speak, but to show. The messenger returned with a communication scroll. Princess, the officer said respectfully, Commander Drake is on his way. He has received your request. Lyra nodded. Good. Prepare the transport. I want him here immediately. Aboard a small shuttle streaking through the orbit of Aurelia, Ethan Drake leaned back in his seat, his arms crossed. The shuttle hummed softly, the engine vibrations filling the cabin. He had received Lyra's message only hours ago, and at first he had laughed. Proof? He muttered. Humans. Can't breed year-round. She wants me to prove biology. That's ambitious. Yet despite his amusement, he felt a twinge of concern. Lyra was not an ordinary princess. She was intelligent, determined, and fearless. If he failed, it would not just reflect badly on him. It could jeopardize all human-alien relations. He straightened in his seat, his expression settling into calm focus. Then I'll prove it, he whispered. No theatrics, just facts, and maybe a little patience. When the shuttle docked with Aurelia, Ethan was greeted by a flurry of alien attendants. They led him to the observation deck where Lyra awaited, her posture commanding yet elegant. She turned slightly, as if sizing him up. You are Commander Drake? She asked, her voice melodic but firm. I am, Ethan replied, bowing slightly in respect, though humans rarely bowed. You requested proof of human reproductive flexibility? Lyra's violet eyes narrowed. I do. Words are easy. Claims are cheap. I want to see evidence that humans can adapt, survive, and reproduce in ways that defy what your critics say. If your people are as resilient as your reputation suggests, prove it. Ethan blinked once, considering her words. Then he nodded slowly. I accept your challenge. But understand this, it is not simply biology. Adaptation is more than physical ability. It is mental. It is social. It is survival against obstacles. Lyra raised a brow. Impressive words. Let us see if your actions are equally impressive. Over the next few hours, Lyra led Ethan through Aurelia's corridors, explaining the facilities she had arranged for his test. Each room was a marvel of alien technology. Walls shimmered with energy fields. capable of simulating climates from frozen tundras to scorching deserts. Artificial sunlight could be altered to mimic every season on any planet. Genetic labs hummed, with quiet precision, and observation rooms filled with curious scientists and diplomats who had never seen a human up close. "You will live here," Lyra said, walking alongside him. "You will be monitored. Your abilities, resilience, and adaptability will be measured. Every detail will be recorded. If humans are as adaptable as you claim, you will prove it in conditions no human has ever faced before." Ethan looked around the facility, impressed but cautious. "And what of ethics?" he asked. "I will not be a test subject in a way that endangers me or others." Lyra paused, her eyes studying him. "Ethics are a human concern, Commander. Here, observation is necessary for understanding. We mean no harm. You will be safe if you can follow the protocols, but make no mistake, this will not be easy." He nodded again. "Understood." The first simulation began that evening. Ethan entered a climate chamber where temperatures plummeted far below what humans could normally endure. He wore a minimal human survival suit designed to allow the body to adjust naturally while providing necessary protection. Sensors lined the walls tracking heart rate, core temperature, and other physiological data. Lyra observed from the observation deck above, her expression unreadable. "Notice his endurance," she instructed the other scientists. "Humans are limited, yes, but he adapts." Hours passed. Ethan endured the bitter cold, relying on careful breathing, mental focus, and strategic movement. He remembered training on Earth, surviving harsh winters, desert extremes, and dangerous conditions during missions. Slowly, his body adapted, temperature stabilizing without artificial assistance. When he emerged, shivering but victorious, Lyra's eyes widened just slightly. "Interesting," she muttered. "The humans possess resilience, stronger than I anticipated." Next came heat simulation. Ethan entered a chamber mimicking a desert world, sunlight blinding and relentless, the air dry and scorching. Many aliens would have faltered within minutes, but Ethan persisted. He hydrated carefully, paced himself, and kept his mind sharp. After several hours, his data showed stable vitals, consistent energy, and no signs of collapse. Lyra's lips pressed together. "Your species is surprising," she admitted softly. By the time the day ended, Ethan had endured extreme cold and heat. He had navigated simulated storms, artificial night cycles, and shifting gravity fields. Each test revealed something new. Humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, but they were flexible, inventive, and remarkably adaptive. Yet Lyra was still not satisfied. She crossed her arms and leaned against the railing, her gaze piercing. "You survive," she said. "You endure. But surviving is not enough. I demand proof that humans' reproduction can continue year-round, against all expectations." "Can you show that, Commander?" Ethan considered the question carefully. He knew her expectations were high, bordering on impossible. "I cannot show it directly," he replied honestly. "No human can breed on command, but we can demonstrate potential. With proper conditions, nutrition, health, and adaptation, human reproductive ability can function beyond what alien assumptions claim." Lyra tilted her head. "Potential is abstract. I want proof, demonstration, evidence you cannot deny." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then we will need assistance, technology, monitoring, and simulation. But I can guide the experiment. I can show your scientists how humans adapt not just physically but biologically over time." Lyra's expression softened slightly. She was intrigued, and perhaps impressed. "Very well, Commander Drake. You will have resources. You will have observation, but know this. Failure is not tolerated. If humans cannot prove themselves, I will know the truth, and so will my council." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Then, we will succeed," he said quietly, more to himself than to her. "Humans always find a way." Lyra's eyes lingered on him. In the quiet hum of the starship, Something unspoken passed between them. Respect, curiosity, and the start of a challenge that would change her perception of humans forever. The shuttle doors closed, and the observation deck fell silent. Below, the planet turned slowly, unaware of the experiment taking place above it. Above, humans and aliens prepared for a test that would not just reveal biological facts, but the remarkable spirit of a species few had truly understood. The research facility on Aurelia was unlike any place Ethan had ever visited. Towering glass walls displayed swirling holograms of ecosystems from hundreds of planets. Pools of water reflected artificial sunlight that could mimic the warmth of tropical worlds or the chill of frozen moons. The air was crisp, filtered, and carefully balanced for both alien and human physiology. Every corner of the facility buzzed with quiet energy, as if the building itself were alive and aware of the challenge ahead. Lyra led Ethan down a corridor lined with advanced monitoring stations. "Here," she said, gesturing to a row of consoles, "is where our scientists will track every detail of your condition. Your body, mind, and eventually, your reproductive potential will be under constant observation. Do you understand?" Ethan nodded. "I do. But remember, adaptation is more than numbers on a screen. It is how we respond to challenges mentally and physically. The body can do amazing things when the mind stays focused." Lyra's violet eyes flickered with interest. "Words again? Let us see if your actions are as convincing as your speech." At the heart of the facility, the first simulation chamber awaited. It was a large circular room, walls lined with sensors and energy fields capable of simulating nearly any environment. Today's challenge was designed to test endurance under harsh conditions, a planet with intense seasonal swings, where day and night temperatures could vary by over 100 degrees. "You will remain here for 12 hours, Lyra explained. "Your environment will change gradually. We want to see how humans adapt to extremes without external aids." Ethan studied the room, noting its advanced technology, and then glanced at Lyra. "I understand. But adaptation is not only survival. It is also efficiency, conserving energy, pacing yourself, responding to change calmly. That is what I will demonstrate." Lyra raised an eyebrow but said nothing. She was curious to see if his confidence matched his abilities. The chamber doors closed with a soft hiss, and immediately the temperature began to drop. Sensors recorded Ethan's vital signs as frost formed along the metallic walls. His breath came out in small clouds as he focused on controlling his core temperature. Memories of Earth winters filled his mind, climbing icy mountains, surviving snowstorms during military training. He adjusted his breathing, moved deliberately, and felt the cold creeping into his extremities without overwhelming him. Hours passed. The cold intensified, testing the limits of human endurance. Most aliens would have collapsed or entered a state of panic. Ethan, however, remained calm. He learned to conserve energy, moving only when necessary, keeping mental focus sharp. When the temperature finally reached its peak, nearing levels that could be fatal, he was still standing, still alert, still in control. On the observation deck, Lyra and the scientists watched with fascination. "Remarkable," whispered Voren, one of the skeptics. "He survives when no human should." Lyra did not respond immediately. She noted the slight twitch in his hands, the careful pacing, and the way he breathed deliberately. "Interesting," she said finally. "Humans possess resilience, stronger than we anticipated." The cold ended as the chamber gradually warmed. Sweat beaded on Ethan's brow and he stretched briefly to restore circulation. The room had tested his limits, but more importantly, it had tested his ability to adapt. Next came the heat simulation. The chamber transformed. Sunlight blazed from above and the air turned dry and scorching. Ethan adjusted his clothing to better suit the heat, though the sensors recorded every minute detail of his body's response. He moved slowly, maintaining hydration and pacing himself. Lyra watched from above, her expression unreadable. "Observe," she instructed the alien scientists. "The human strategy. It is not brute strength, It is not rapid response. It is careful observation, adaptation, and calculation. Hours passed, and Ethan endured. He endured heat waves, simulated sandstorms, and artificial sunlight that would have exhausted most beings within minutes. Yet, he remained steady. His body did not collapse. His mind stayed clear, and his determination never wavered. By the time the heat simulation ended, the scientists were murmuring in astonishment. Foran whispered again, almost reluctantly, They are stronger than we assumed." Lyra's eyes remained fixed on Ethan. "Strength alone is not proof," she said softly. "We must test flexibility. We must test endurance across conditions that change unpredictably." Over the next few days, Ethan faced increasingly complex simulations. He navigated shifting gravity fields that mimicked alien worlds, with gravity twice that of Earth. He experienced sudden storms, high winds, and simulated hurricanes. Artificial nights and days forced his circadian rhythms to adapt quickly. Sensors monitored his sleep cycles, heart rate, energy levels, and stress responses. Every test was a new challenge, pushing him beyond normal human limits. Lyra observed all of it silently. She had expected humans to falter, to show limitations at some point. Instead, she watched as Ethan's mind and body worked together seamlessly, adjusting to each obstacle with ingenuity. Sometimes he used simple tricks, like slowing his breathing, pacing himself, or altering his movement patterns, to overcome seemingly impossible situations. Sometimes he relied on memory, intuition, and logical thinking. Each time he succeeded, Lyra felt her skepticism slowly eroding. She had heard legends of human creativity and resilience, but seeing it firsthand was different. Humans were unpredictable. They did not rely solely on instinct or raw power. They relied on thought, determination, and cleverness. Midway through the week, Lyra led Ethan to a new facility, the Reproductive Simulation Lab. It was not a chamber of direct reproduction, but a high-tech AI system designed to simulate human biological processes over time. The AI could accelerate cycles and monitor potential fertility under varying conditions, without endangering participants. Lyra explained the purpose carefully. "This will not be direct reproduction," she said. "It will be simulation, but it will give us insight into human potential. If humans are as adaptable as you claim, the AI should show evidence of reproductive flexibility under different environmental conditions." Ethan nodded, understanding the importance. "I will guide the system. We will demonstrate potential, not just theory. Humans are capable of adjusting to diverse conditions, and this AI can show how our biology responds." The AI activated, displaying holographic models of human cells, hormonal cycles, and reproductive markers. Ethan worked with the scientists to adjust environmental variables, simulate nutrition changes, and alter seasonal cycles. The holograms responded, showing promising results. Human reproductive potential could persist across simulated seasons, far beyond what the aliens had assumed possible. Lyra leaned closer, her eyes focused. "Fascinating," she murmured. "Your species is more flexible than we imagined." Ethan smiled faintly. "It is not magic," he said. "It is adaptation, intelligence, and resilience. Humans thrive when they understand their environment and adjust accordingly." As the day ended, Lyra led him back to the observation deck. Below, the planet continued to turn slowly, unaware of the experiment taking place in orbit. Above, humans and aliens were beginning to reconsider their assumptions about one another. Lyra broke the silence. "Commander Drake," she said, her voice calm but firm. "You have endured challenges that would break many species. You have adapted to conditions far beyond your planet's extremes. You have begun to demonstrate potential that many of my council would have dismissed outright. Yet," Ethan looked at her, waiting. "Yet proof is not complete," she continued. "You have shown resilience. You have shown adaptability. But the council will not accept simulations alone. They will demand further evidence of human flexibility, endurance, and ultimately our original question, the capacity for year-round reproduction. That test awaits." Ethan nodded, his expression determined. Then we continue. Humans never give up easily. We adapt, we endure, and we prove ourselves when it matters most. Lyra studied him carefully. In that moment, she realized that the humans she had underestimated were not only capable of survival, they were clever, resourceful, and daring in ways her species could not always predict. She felt something she had rarely experienced, curiosity mixed with admiration. The challenge was far from over. Tests and simulations would continue, growing more complex, more demanding, and more revealing. But for the first time, Lyra began to see what humans could achieve, not just with their bodies, but with their minds, their determination, and their extraordinary will to endure. As the stars twinkled beyond the observation deck, she whispered to herself, almost in awe, "Perhaps humans are more remarkable than anyone believes." The next morning, the sun-like lights of Aurelia's research facility shone brightly across the observation deck. Princess Lyra stood alone, gazing at the intricate holograms displaying Ethan's progress. The human had already survived extreme cold, scorching heat, and shifting gravity fields. His resilience was extraordinary, yet Lyra could not ignore one lingering question. Could humans truly prove reproductive flexibility under varying conditions? Ethan entered the observation deck, carrying a small case of instruments the AI system required. He smiled politely at Lyra. "Good morning, Princess. Ready for another day of challenges?" Lyra arched an eyebrow. "Challenges are my specialty. Are you prepared, Commander?" Ethan nodded. "I am, but today we may encounter complications. The simulations are more advanced than yesterday. They test both body and mind, and the Council may not wait patiently for results." Lyra turned to him fully, her violet eyes sharp. "You do realize that failure is not an option?" "I understand," Ethan replied calmly. "Humans adapt, and that is what I intend to demonstrate." The first task of the day took Ethan to a new chamber designed to simulate long-term biological processes. Unlike the previous rooms, this one relied heavily on advanced AI to recreate human reproductive systems under various environmental conditions. The chamber was silent, its walls glowing with soft blue light, and the air was sterile yet comfortably warm. A team of alien scientists hovered near the control panels, whispering in a language Ethan only partially understood. They were skeptical. One of them, a tall, thin alien with green skin and 4 fingers on each hand, muttered under his breath, "No human can endure this simulation. It is impossible." Ethan smiled faintly. "We shall see," he said. The AI system powered up, displaying a complex series of holographic human biological processes. Ethan carefully guided the system, adjusting variables such as environmental temperature, nutrition intake, and simulated seasonal cycles. He explained each step to the alien scientists, showing how human biology could adapt to changes in conditions over time. As the simulation progressed, Lyra observed silently. She noticed Ethan's patience, his careful reasoning, and his calm demeanor. It was clear he understood the system better than the aliens did. Hours passed. The AI system displayed data indicating that human reproductive potential could remain flexible under the right conditions. The results were subtle, not dramatic, but they were undeniable. Humans could survive extreme conditions and maintain biological cycles that the aliens had assumed impossible. Lyra's eyes narrowed as she studied the data. "Interesting," she murmured. "But subtle results may not convince the Council. They seek dramatic proof, something they cannot dismiss or argue against." Ethan nodded. "That is why observation alone is not enough. Demonstration requires understanding, strategy, and persistence. Humans succeed not only through strength, but through cleverness and adaptation." Lyra tilted her head, intrigued. "You speak as if humans are more than their biology." "They are," Ethan replied. "Our greatest advantage is intelligence, creativity, and the ability to overcome unexpected challenges. That is what you will see if you continue to test us." Just then, the alarms in the facility blared. Red lights flashed and the hum of machinery shifted into an urgent tone. Ethan turned to see a panel on the wall flashing warnings. A critical system regulating the AI simulations had failed, threatening to erase the ongoing data. The alien scientists panicked. "This is a disaster," one shouted. "All data lost. The experiment ruined." Ethan stepped forward immediately. "Calm down," he said firmly. "We can fix this. Show me the system." The lead scientist hesitated, then guided Ethan to the malfunctioning console. "It is impossible," the scientist said. "The AI controls are damaged. We cannot restore it in time." Ethan studied the panel, analyzing the problem. It was complicated, more complex than any system he had encountered on Earth. Yet his mind worked quickly. He understood the logic behind the AI, the way energy flowed through the circuits and the way the simulations were structured. "Follow my instructions," Ethan said to the alien team. "We can stabilize the system long enough to preserve the data. I need you to reroute the energy flows and monitor the core processors while I adjust the AI algorithms manually." The aliens exchanged doubtful glances but obeyed. Ethan's hands moved swiftly over the controls, overriding faulty circuits, correcting logical errors, and recalibrating the AI parameters. Sweat formed on his brow, but he remained calm, speaking instructions clearly and confidently. Princess Lyra watched from above, her hands gripping the railing. She had seen humans endure physical challenges, but this was different. Ethan was solving a problem that seemed impossible to the aliens. He was improvising, thinking creatively, and leading a team that had lost hope. "This is remarkable," she whispered. "Humans are not strong, not fast, but their mind." Within an hour, the system stabilized. The AI resumed its simulations, and the data was preserved. The alien scientists were in awe, some even bowing slightly to Ethan in gratitude and respect. "You have saved the experiment," Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. "And in doing so, you have demonstrated something more important than data. You have shown resourcefulness, leadership, and problem-solving, qualities far beyond what we expected from humans." Ethan nodded, catching his breath. Adaptation is not only survival, it is thinking, adjusting, and responding when conditions change unexpectedly. That is what humans do best. Lyra's expression softened slightly, and for the first time she allowed herself a faint smile. "Perhaps you are correct." The rest of the day continued with the AI simulations, but now Lyra and the scientists observed with renewed interest. Ethan guided the system through variations of climate, nutrition, and stress, showing how humans could maintain reproductive potential over long periods. The AI responded well. Data showed stable hormonal cycles, flexibility in reproductive markers, and resilience under environmental stress. Even the most skeptical alien scientists could not deny the evidence. Lyra leaned over the holographic display, studying the results. "Commander Drake," she said, her voice thoughtful, "your species is remarkable. I had underestimated humans, not because of biology alone, but because of intellect and ingenuity." Ethan smiled faintly. "That is often our advantage. We may not be the strongest physically, but we survive, adapt, and solve problems creatively. That is how we endure across centuries and conditions." Lyra nodded slowly. "I am beginning to see that. Perhaps humans are capable of more than my council believes. Perhaps your people are extraordinary in ways that cannot be measured by simple biology." As evening fell, the observation deck filled with soft orange light, simulating the sunset of a distant planet. Ethan sat quietly, reviewing data from the AI system. Lyra joined him, her posture relaxed but still regal. "You have accomplished much today," she said softly. "But tomorrow will be more difficult. The Council will want direct evidence, not simulations. They will want proof beyond doubt." "Are you prepared?" Ethan looked up, determination in his eyes. "I am. Humans face impossible challenges every day. We adapt, we endure, and we overcome. Tomorrow will be no different." Lyra studied him for a long moment. She had witnessed his courage, intelligence, and leadership. She realized that the humans she had doubted were not just survivors. They were innovators, problem solvers, and fearless in the face of adversity. A quiet silence fell between them. Beyond the glass walls, stars twinkled in the endless expanse, while below, the planet continued its slow rotation. Inside Aurelia, a human and an alien princess had begun a silent understanding, an unspoken respect forming across species lines. Lyra finally broke the silence. "Perhaps humans are more than we imagined," she said almost to herself. "Perhaps they are extraordinary." Ethan glanced at her, sensing her admiration but saying nothing. Actions, not words, had proven their worth. He had survived the challenges, stabilized the AI, and demonstrated potential humans had long been underestimated for. Tomorrow the Council would demand more. The real test, direct proof of human reproductive flexibility, awaited. But tonight, Ethan allowed himself a quiet moment of satisfaction. Humans had shown resilience, intelligence, and adaptability once again. Lyra watched him with quiet curiosity. She knew the coming days would test both human and alien understanding. She knew the Council's judgment would not be easily swayed. But one truth was undeniable. The human before her had already begun to change perceptions across the galaxy. And for the first time, Lyra wondered if humans might surprise her more than anyone had ever imagined. The following morning, the research facility on Aurelia hummed with anticipation. Princess Lyra walked briskly across the observation deck, her violet eyes scanning the readouts from the previous day. Commander Ethan Drake had already proven resilience in extreme environments and demonstrated the potential for reproductive flexibility through AI simulations. Yet, the Council demanded more. They would not settle for theory. They wanted action, evidence that could not be questioned. Ethan stood nearby reviewing the latest AI data. "Princess," he said calmly, "today's test will be critical. We must demonstrate not only endurance but also adaptability under unexpected stress. Humans are at their strongest when challenges are unpredictable." Lyra nodded. "Very well. I have arranged a series of surprise simulations. They will test mental, physical, and biological adaptability simultaneously. Are you prepared?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Prepared is not the right word. Ready is better. Humans thrive on challenges." The first challenge of the day was a combination of environmental extremes. The chamber Ethan entered shifted between scorching heat and freezing cold within minutes, simulating a planet with extreme climate fluctuations. High winds, sudden storms, and variable gravity were added to the test, making it almost impossible to predict how to endure. Lyra observed from the control deck above, her arms crossed. She watched Ethan move carefully, pacing himself to conserve energy. Unlike the aliens, he did not panic or make sudden movements. His focus remained unwavering. He adapted to the changes, using small but precise adjustments to maintain balance, regulate temperature, and conserve energy. The alien scientists were stunned. Many had predicted failure within the first 10 minutes, yet Ethan moved fluidly, thinking through each obstacle. He used knowledge, instinct, and intuition to survive the impossible. "This is remarkable," whispered Voren, the skeptical council member. "The human adapts even when conditions are unpredictable." Lyra remained silent, her mind focused on the next challenge. She had seen resilience, and now she wanted to see problem-solving under pressure. Just as the environmental test reached its peak, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed and the hum of machinery shifted into an urgent tone. Ethan immediately recognized the danger. The AI system controlling the reproductive simulations was failing. The data collected over the past days risked being erased. The alien scientists panicked. "This is catastrophic," one cried. "All results lost, the experiment ruined." Ethan stepped forward, his eyes scanning the control panels. "Stay calm," he said firmly. "We can fix this. Show me the main console." The lead scientist hesitated, clearly afraid of human interference. "It is too complex," the alien admitted. "No one can restore the AI in time." Ethan's expression did not waver. He knelt at the console, his fingers moving swiftly over the controls. He analyzed the system, identifying the faulty circuits and corrupted algorithms. "We need to reroute energy flows and manually adjust the parameters," he said. "Follow my instructions exactly and we can stabilize the system." The scientists glanced at each other nervously but obeyed. Ethan worked quickly, overriding damaged circuits, recalibrating the AI and restoring data flows. Sweat formed on his brow, but he remained focused, guiding the team with calm precision. Princess Lyra watched from above, her hands gripping the railing. She had seen Ethan endure physical challenges, but this was different. Here, he was solving a problem that had stumped the best minds of her species. He improvised, led, and remained composed under immense pressure. "This is unexpected," she whispered. "Humans do not rely solely on strength or instinct. They think, adapt, and lead." After nearly an hour of focused work, the AI system stabilized. Data began to flow again and the simulations resumed. The alien scientists looked at Ethan with awe, some even bowing slightly in recognition. "You have saved the experiment," Lyra said, her voice calm but filled with respect. "And in doing so, you have shown qualities far beyond physical endurance. Intelligence, leadership, and resourcefulness. Traits that make your species extraordinary." Ethan nodded, catching his breath. "Adaptation is more than survival. It is strategy, innovation, and calm decision-making under pressure. That is how humans overcome impossible challenges." Lyra allowed herself a faint smile. "Perhaps humans are not as limited as I once thought." With the AI system restored, Ethan turned his attention back to the reproductive simulations. Today, they would run a new series designed to test flexibility under unpredictable environmental changes. The AI would adjust temperature, nutrition, and seasonal cycles rapidly, creating conditions that no human had naturally experienced. Lyra watched closely as Ethan guided the system. He explained each adjustment, showing how human biology could respond to stress without losing reproductive potential. The AI displayed holographic models of human cells, hormonal cycles, and fertility, markers updating in real time. As the simulation ran, the data revealed surprising results. Humans were able to maintain hormonal balance, adapt reproductive cycles, and remain biologically flexible even under rapidly changing conditions. The AI confirmed what Ethan had predicted. Humans were capable of greater reproductive adaptability than the alien council had believed. The alien scientists were stunned. Many whispered in disbelief. "Impossible," one said quietly. "The humans, they adapt biologically in ways we cannot predict." Lyra turned to Ethan. "Commander Drake, you have not only endured physical challenges but have also demonstrated the potential of human biology under extreme stress. This is compelling evidence." Ethan bowed slightly. "It is potential, Princess. Humans succeed not because biology alone favors them, but because we understand, adapt, and respond creatively. That is our strength." Lyra studied him for a long moment. She had underestimated humans, assuming limitations where none existed. She realized that their strength lay not only in endurance but in intelligence, ingenuity, and unyielding determination. As the simulation continued, a new complication arose. A critical energy fluctuation threatened to shut down the environmental systems. The chamber's temperature and gravity fields began to oscillate unpredictably, creating dangerous conditions for Ethan. Without hesitation, Ethan adjusted his movements, relying on his training, intuition, and quick thinking. He shifted his stance, countered the changing gravity, and avoided hazards that could have caused serious injury. Meanwhile, he coordinated with the AI system to stabilize environmental fluctuations as much as possible. Lyra watched in amazement. "Humans do not simply survive," she whispered. "They solve problems instinctively and intelligently." After several tense hours, Ethan emerged from the chamber, unharmed but clearly fatigued. Sensors confirmed that his vital signs remained stable, and the AI data was intact. The scientists erupted in approval, acknowledging the human's remarkable capability. Later that evening, Lyra joined Ethan on the observation deck. The stars beyond the glass walls sparkled against the dark void of space. Ethan was reviewing the AI data quietly, noting the subtle variations and trends that confirmed human adaptability. "You have exceeded expectations, Commander Drake," Lyra said softly. "The Council will find it difficult to dismiss your results. Not only have you survived and adapted, but you have also demonstrated the potential for year-round reproductive flexibility, and you did it under conditions that would have challenged even the most advanced alien species." Ethan looked up, his expression calm. "Humans have always adapted, Princess. We face challenges constantly, on Earth and beyond. Survival alone is not enough. Intelligence, creativity, and persistence make us extraordinary. That is what you have seen today." Lyra nodded slowly. For the first time, she allowed herself a hint of admiration. "Perhaps humans are more remarkable than I imagined. You have proven that strength and endurance are not the only measures of capability. Adaptability and ingenuity matter just as much, if not more." As the night settled over Aurelia, Ethan and Lyra stood in quiet contemplation. The experiment was far from over, but today had marked a turning point. Humans had shown resilience, intelligence, and the ability to adapt biologically, mentally, and physically. The real test, the Council's judgment and the demand for direct evidence of reproductive flexibility, still lay ahead. But tonight Ethan had proven that humans could rise to challenges that aliens considered impossible. Lyra watched him silently, realizing that her assumptions about humanity had been incomplete. She understood now that humans were not merely creatures of flesh and instinct. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and relentless in the face of adversity. And as the stars shimmered above Aurelia, a quiet understanding formed between them. Humans had the potential not only to survive but to inspire respect and perhaps even awe across the galaxy. The next morning, Aurelia's research facility buzzed with anticipation. Today, the Council would witness the final demonstration. Princess Lyra stood on the observation deck, her violet eyes scanning the AI readouts, the environmental chambers, and the nervous alien scientists who surrounded her. Commander Ethan Drake had already survived impossible challenges, stabilized the AI, and demonstrated potential reproductive flexibility. But today, he would present direct proof, as much as possible without endangering life, to convince even the most skeptical council members. Ethan entered the main chamber, carrying the small instruments necessary for the final simulation. His posture was calm, his expression steady. He had faced extreme heat, cold, shifting gravity, and sudden crises. Nothing could surprise him now. "Commander Drake," Lyra said, her voice firm yet respectful. "Today we must show the Council that humans are not limited by what they claim. That adaptability, resilience, and intelligence make your species extraordinary. Are you ready?" "I am," Ethan replied quietly. "Humans succeed not through brute strength, but through understanding, adaptation, and persistence. That is what I will demonstrate." Lyra nodded. "Very well. Begin." The chamber hummed to life. Environmental conditions began to shift rapidly. Heat, cold, wind, and gravity all fluctuating unpredictably. At the same time, the AI system simulated human reproductive cycles under these extreme and varied conditions. Sensors tracked hormonal levels, energy usage, and cell activity with meticulous precision. Ethan moved carefully, adjusting his position, pacing, and breathing to cope with the environmental changes. At the same time, he monitored the AI output, making small adjustments to nutrition variables and other simulated factors. The holographic models responded in real time, showing humans maintaining hormonal balance and reproductive potential despite rapidly changing conditions. The Alien Council. Members watched silently. Many had expected chaos or failure. Yet hour after hour, Ethan remained composed. His body adapted to extremes. His mind stayed sharp. And the AI data confirmed that, even under unpredictable conditions, human reproductive flexibility was impressive. Lyra observed every detail, noting the precision of Ethan's movements, the calm logic in his responses, and the extraordinary results from the AI simulations. She could see it clearly now. Humans were not limited by simple biology. They survived, endured, and thrived through intelligence, adaptability, and creativity. Remarkable, Lyra whispered. Even our most advanced species would struggle under these conditions. Ethan glanced at her briefly, noting her admiration. It is not just biology, Princess. Humans overcome challenges with ingenuity, planning, and mental focus. That is why we endure where others might fail. One council member, skeptical until now, stepped forward. This is incredible. The AI shows clear evidence that humans maintain reproductive potential even under extreme and variable conditions. They can adapt in ways we did not anticipate. Lyra's violet eyes glimmered with satisfaction. She allowed herself a rare smile. Commander Drake, she said softly, you have done more than prove your species' potential. You have demonstrated their intelligence, creativity, and courage. The Council must recognize the truth. The final phase of the simulation began, a controlled scenario replicating seasonal cycles while introducing unpredictable environmental challenges. Ethan guided the AI, adjusting variables for temperature, nutrition, and stress. The holographic models displayed consistent reproductive potential, showing that humans could adapt biologically, mentally, and physically. Alien scientists were amazed. Many whispered in awe. One said, I never thought a species so small and fragile could endure and adapt so completely. Lyra's eyes softened as she observed Ethan. She had doubted humans, questioned their abilities, and assumed limitations that did not exist. Now she saw clearly that human strength lay not in raw power, but in intelligence, ingenuity, and relentless perseverance. You have changed my understanding of your species, Lyra admitted. Not merely because of what you survive, but how you think, how you adapt, and how you face challenges. Humans are extraordinary. Ethan smiled faintly. Thank you, Princess. But humans do not thrive on praise. We thrive on challenges. And today you have given us the opportunity to show our true strength. The Council reconvened after the simulation. Lyra stood before them, her posture regal, but her expression confident. Honored members of the Council, she began, the evidence you have witnessed is undeniable. Commander Ethan Drake has demonstrated that humans are capable of enduring extreme conditions, adapting to rapid environmental changes, and maintaining reproductive potential beyond what we assumed possible. The Council members exchanged glances, murmuring among themselves. Many were reluctant to admit they had been wrong, but the data and demonstrations spoke for themselves. Lyra continued, more importantly, this human has shown that adaptability is not only physical, but intellectual. Humans think, plan, and problem solve in ways that defy simple biological limitations. They are resilient, ingenious, and courageous. I recommend that we recognize their capabilities and treat them with the respect they have earned. The Council fell silent. Slowly, one by one, the members nodded in agreement. Some bowed slightly. Even Vorin, the skeptic, muttered, We underestimated them. Humans are indeed remarkable. Later, in a quiet corner of the observation deck, Lyra approached Ethan. The glow from the holographic displays bathed them in soft light. Commander Drake, she said, you have done more than prove a point. You have earned my respect and the respect of my council. Humans are no longer to be underestimated. Ethan inclined his head politely. Thank you, Princess. But humans do not seek glory. We seek understanding, and the chance to prove ourselves when challenged. Today was only one example of what we can do. Lyra's violet eyes softened. Perhaps your species can teach us more than we imagined. Your creativity, resilience, and adaptability are qualities my council should value, not dismiss. Ethan allowed himself a small smile. Then we have succeeded together. Humans have proven their worth, and perhaps aliens will learn from us as well. The final night on Aurelia was quiet. Ethan and Lyra stood on the observation deck, gazing at the planet below. The simulation chambers hummed softly, no longer filled with alarms or flashing red lights. The AI data had been saved, the Council convinced, and human potential fully demonstrated. Lyra spoke softly, almost to herself. "Humans, you are more remarkable than I could have imagined." Ethan looked at her, understanding her admiration, but keeping his composure. "We are only remarkable because we face challenges and adapt. That is the essence of our species." She nodded, reflecting on the journey. She had doubted humans, assumed limits that did not exist, and even questioned their ability to survive. But now, she saw them clearly. Clever, resilient, adaptable, and capable of inspiring respect across the galaxy. The night passed with quiet contemplation. Tomorrow, the Council would formalize their recognition. Humans would be respected not for raw strength but for intelligence, creativity, and courage. And for Ethan, the mission had been accomplished. Humans had proven their worth. As the stars shimmered beyond the observation deck, Lyra turned to Ethan. "Commander Drake," she said softly, "you have changed my perception, and perhaps that of my council. Humans are not limited by biology alone. You have shown ingenuity, resilience, and adaptability. These are qualities my people should honor." Ethan bowed slightly. "Thank you, Princess. Humans will continue to adapt, endure, and rise to new challenges. That is who we are." Lyra smiled faintly, a rare warmth in her expression. "I believe it, and I trust that this is only the beginning of a new understanding between our species." The two stood in silence, the hum of the facility fading into quiet. Beyond the glass walls, the stars of the galaxy twinkled. Below, the planet rotated, peacefully, unaware that history had been made above it. Humans had proven themselves, through resilience, intelligence, and ingenuity. They had overcome skepticism, solved impossible challenges, and demonstrated potential that few could imagine. And in doing so, they had earned the respect of an alien princess, the admiration of a skeptical council, and a place among the stars, as a species capable of rising to any challenge. For Ethan, for humanity, and for the universe watching silently from afar, this was only the beginning.